Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 7 of Welcome to the Dark Sun, also known as the one where everybody annoys the DM. In all fairness though, it's his fault for bringing in a ghost ship. What did he think was going to happen? For this session we had a full table of players, which happens very rarely, so that means there were 6 players plus a DM, which can lead to things taking a while, as you might imagine. To recap who we had at the table, we had Salentithius, who's a Thri-Kreen, Druidoc, who's also a Thri-Kreen, Dono, who's an elf, Vashti, who's a half-elf, Nibbles, who is a hobbit, and Bardock, who is a Mull. Nibbles had been away for the last 2 sessions, so we just said that she was walking her cousin Spice back to the forest, and when she was coming back to the desert, she happened to come across us. And if you remember, at the end of last session, we came across a ghost ship. I mean, we didn't know it was a ghost ship because there's no ships really, but we know it's a ghost ship. So after waking everybody up, Dono starts to yell at the ghost ship, like, "What are you doing? What do you want? Blah, 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 blah." And the ghosts are like, "We're looking for Anchor Point. Do you know where Anchor Point is?" And there's just a lot of yelling and back and forth that doesn't need to happen. And finally, these ghost guys seem to think that we've taken Anchor Point from them, which means they want to fight us. And obviously Dono and Vashti are not helping the situation at all. I'm pretty sure Vashti at one point said, "Well, if we're the type of people who made Anchor Point disappear, what chance do you think you have against us?" And in response, they shot a ballista arrow at her face. So they definitely thought they had a relatively good chance. Now this was the start of the session and it all just went downhill from here because ghost ships, right? The Hobbit tries to phase into the ghost ship, doesn't make it. Cause like, didn't make the save or whatever it was, so her hand just goes all the way through. But then on the next turn, she manages to punch a hole in the side of the ship and then crawl into the ship and doesn't phase out. So, ooh, our poor DM, just no chance. Cause anytime we did regular damage to the ghost ship or any of the ghost crew, they took half damage. Because they're ghosts, unless it was with magic, obviously. So our argument was, well, that's a ghost bolt that's hitting me, so obviously that's half damage because that's a ghost thing. We won none of these fights. It was just did not go well. Well, how is she standing on the deck? It's a ghost ship. She should be falling out. I'm just gonna say that this battle took over 2 hours, which is ridiculous because there weren't that many of them. There was a ghost ship and 10 pirates, and then there were 6 of us. A couple rounds into this fight, Bardock got on a chariot, and so I jumped back and got on a chariot too. But even that didn't make things better. You'd think it would make things go better. It didn't. It was just a very long, tedious fight because you've got the chariots can't move at more than 90-degree angles unless you make a strength save, and then you've got the boat that's also kind of doing the same thing, so it's just like a whole lot of this. The DM got a grid for us to use, and I think that just confused things even more because in the past we've had issues with, no, well, I went that way, not that way. But with the grid, it just made it worse, I think. So Nibbles was on the ghost ship. Everybody else at this point got into chariots except Dono. I offered. I was going past Salentithius, my Thri-Kreen, going past Dono. "Dono, do you want to get in my chariot?" And he was like, "No, because you'll eat me." Because I may say that I'm going to eat him all the time, like I said last session. I'm not gonna eat him, but he doesn't need to know that. So he refused to get in any of the chariots, and the entire time he's just mouthing off this ghost ship. And because of that, he is taking the brunt of the attacks. Until I got out of my chariot and on the ghost ship later, nobody even tried to hit me. And I think that was very similar with kind of everybody else, because he was just being the loudest and the most annoying. Finally, I was getting sick of this whole trying to drive around the ghost ship and the ghost ship going the other way. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I want the ghost ship to stay somewhere I can hit it, because it would go here and then I would have to do this and then wait for my next turn, but it would move and it was just, ugh. So I grabbed a piece of rope, I tied it to the chariot, and I leapt to the ghost ship because yes, Thri-Kreen and their crazy ability to leap. And then when I got there, I tied a knot on the ship, and then that was pretty much it. The DM decided that, you know, the ghost ship can't go one way, the chariots can't go the other, so they're just canceling each other out. So score, the ghost ship is going nowhere. Although again, that didn't really help our cause because this fight was just dragging on. And also the concern was, once the ghost ship gets destroyed, is it going to cause issues for anybody who might be on the ghost ship? As it was starting to take a beating, I decided I should probably get off the ghost ship. This was probably a couple rounds after I got off of it, and so I did like the coolest move ever. I took my short bow and I jumped off the side of the ship and just kind of sailed down that rope back into my chariot, which is pretty boss if you ask me. But Vashti went up on the rope to get onto the ghost ship. So Vashti and Nibbles were still on there messing up the captain. Captain died, morale check. They made it, so they continued to fight, and one of the other guys was like, I'm the captain now. And then at that point, he shot off the ballista and crit at Dono, and bye-bye Dono, there's just a crater in the ground where you once were. And this is why he should have got on the chariot with me. He wouldn't have died, and I wasn't gonna eat him, and now that he's dead, you know, fair game, right? Corpse as they lie. Anyway, we stabilized him, we finished the battle, the ghost disappeared. We got a bunch of XP. After the battle, we went to finally do our long rest because that's what we had been about to do when we noticed the ghost ship in the first place. And then the next day, we started making our way back to Tyr, having done what we set out to do, which was investigate the mysterious structure in the desert. As we were going along in our nice little flying V formation, we came across these 4 statues, like weirdly on top of a dune in the desert. Which is kind of suspicious, as you might imagine. So we got close, but not super close, and Bardock used Move Earth to see if there was anything around because we could see something skittering in the sand. And it turned out that they were 2 rhombusons, which are like iguanas, kind of. One was purple and one was orange, and basically, if you startle them, they'll end up turning you to a statue. So we just decided to continue on. Nobody needs to bother with that right now. We camped out again that night, and the next day, again on our way back to Tyr, we came across this cactus that we had seen last session. As you might remember, Salentithius hates cacti. So I took my little chariot like a solid 120 feet away from this cactus, and I parked it. Nibbles was riding with me. She was totally cool with it, and then the other 2 chariots approached. And then, as you might imagine, when they approached the cactus attacked. See? This is why you don't trust cacti. It was a spider cactus too, so it like shoots you with its pokies, and then they like stick in you, and then they like draw you towards it with the tendrils attached, which is so creepy. We were able to take care of it pretty quickly though, because it was a cactus, and there was a lot of us, and I was shooting spells from a distance because I'm not getting any closer. And I think only Vashti and Bardock took a little bit of damage from it, and then they were even able to harvest the quills to get some poison, which is always a good thing to have around. The following day was our 3rd day of travel back from the mysterious ship, which was going to be our last day of battle because with the chariots you can move so much faster. And as we were approaching Tyr, there was a static lightning storm going on, but Bardock has this amazing ability where he can create lightning storms, and it allows him to harness existing lightning. So basically that's what he did, and instead of going around this and taking a long trek or trying to divert it, we just drove straight through it, and in we came back to the city of Tyr, basically looking like nobles because we haven't painted our chariots, so they do have the symbol of Tyr on them already. And so there's some soldiers and they were bowing to us, and they thought we were pretty legit. Once we got back to the city, we did head back to our house to drop off the chariots and the Crodlu, and then Vashti and myself headed out to the blacksmith to see if she had finished making some of our steel weapons that she was creating last session for us. When we made it there, we found out that she had made 2 of the daggers and my new steel Githka, which is great because no more negatives to my 2-hit or my damage. I'm so excited. But she needed like an extra week to finish the longsword that she was working on, which is totally fine. So we paid her for her services and decided to go get some food. Meanwhile, Nibbles and Drewdock went to go exchange some of their money, and on their way past the chariot stall, yes, that chariot stall, the one where we have that guy that everybody in the party loves, there was a Templar there. And so they asked him what was going on, and it turns out that the chariot salesman was killed. Which, even though everybody in the party hated him except for like the 2 bugs, is a terrible blow because we had that deal with him that we'd get 50% off our chariot repairs. So now we have to find a new chariot repairman. But also somebody's dead. Nibbles and Drewdock started to investigate the scene to see if there's anything they could notice. The Templars said they could, so it was kosher, for now at least. And in the middle of the room they found a huge pool of blood with some acid in the middle. Which is a little weird, right? But then things kind of start to mess with their minds, and Drewdock became very convinced that Nibbles was the one who killed the chariot guy, because Nibbles wasn't around when we met him. Nibbles wasn't with us when we went to the desert. Clearly it had to be her. Also, because she knew about the acid, she knew a little bit too much about what happened here. So his course of action was, let's get back to the house and let's talk to everyone else. So they get back to our house. Vashti and myself still aren't there, but Bardock and Dono are. Drudok tries to tell Dono about the situation that's going on, but Dono is generally mistrustful of us bugs, but also they kind of start to think there's weird things going on. So Dono agrees to talk with Drudok outside, but you know, he gets his bow and arrow ready to shoot the bug if need be. Drudok starts to explain the situation to Dono, like, this is what I think happened, blah blah blah. And Dono has no interest in talking to me. He's like, maybe it was you. Maybe you want to eat me. Something's messing with his mind. Something's messing with everybody's mind. And at about that point, Vashti and I return. And Drudok's like, I'm done with you, Dono. I'm gonna go talk to the bug and the half-elf, because I think they'll listen to me better. Well, when we showed up, things start to mess with our minds too. Although Vashti was all gung-ho, Nibbles killed this chariot guy, we hated him. That's awesome. I should go congratulate her. And so Vashti went in to go congratulate Nibbles. And meanwhile, I'm like, you look like me, bug, but I don't know if I should trust you. At this point, Nibbles gets a little upset that Drudok is saying that she's killed people, so she comes out. And when she comes out, she notices a hobo kind of around the corner of our building that she had seen at the chariot stand. So she starts going up to him like, hey, you know I didn't kill him. You know I didn't do that. Come help me clear my name. And as she approaches him, he runs away. And so Drudok runs after her going, oh no, she's gonna kill again. And I go, I don't know that I trust anybody here, but I'm gonna chase that bug. So we catch up pretty quickly. Drudok manages to take down the hobo and I take down Nibbles. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And Nibbles is like, stop tickling me. Because she doesn't understand that I'm trying to restrain her, even though I'm not sure what's going on. She thinks we're just playing. Everybody else hears the commotion and comes out of our house, but suddenly we're thrown into battle, and this guy is brutal. Hitting him feels weird, like he doesn't have any armor on, but he feels too solid, but not solid. Weird. And if you stab him or poke him with anything pokey, he sprays acid all over the place, and you don't get to make a save for that. He is a scion. Super fun. The whole time though, Drudok's like, let's not kill him, because he can tell us what happened. And so we go through this fight, and I think probably one of the greatest parts was Dono is very far at the back and sees us get spewed with this poison, and it's the two bugs and the cannibal hobbit. And he goes, well, you know, it's not so bad if this guy kills these three, because then nobody wants to eat me. Which I would say is a valid point. But after a while we managed to take him out. It was not without quite a bit of damage though. That acid spray was the worst thing ever, like 8 points of damage almost every time because of max rolls. And just not an enjoyable person to fight. But we got him down in the end and we just knocked him out because Drudok was very adamant that we don't kill him. We decided though to turn him over to the Templar because he was a murderer and they were looking for him. So a couple of us went and hid inside our house, but Nibbles and Bardock, who loves the Templar, if you remember, were there to turn him in, and the Templar that showed up was the same one that was at the chariot stall, and he just straight up slit this guy's throat and was like, what do you want, a prize for this? Here you go, like, here's some silver. And after that, everybody just came back inside our house, and that was about the end of the session. We probably could have done a lot more this session had that ghost ship encounter not taken forever. The DM straight up says there will never be another ghost ship for us to encounter because we were too annoying about it and it just dragged on forever. He said, like, imagery wise it looked really cool, chariots versus ghost ship, but in practice it didn't work out. Interestingly enough, this is probably the first time that we've ended a session without quests to go on to the next session, so it'll be neat to see what comes up next time. And if you want to find out what happens, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll see when I post, which is every Sunday. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.